So this is a very short video to explain one of the principles of camera, which is that the camera always follows and never leads. So to illustrate this, this is a very common mistake made by animators when they're first encountering cinematography. So I've got a ball here which I've created, and you'll see that this ball is moving to screen left. And actually I'm just going to adjust the motion of the ball. Let's see if I open this up. Select the ball and let's just put that on a straight curve. Let's actually have it accelerate somewhat as it goes out. So the ball is going to pick up speed and fly out of the shot. Now, let's say I want to follow that ball with the camera. So I go ahead and select the camera. There's my shot camera, which I created earlier. Now, if let's set a keyframe on the camera at frame 1, and then let's go to frame 49. And let's set another keyframe on the camera so that we're following the camera. And now watch what happens. So what's happening here is the camera is leading. The camera is already starting to move before the ball moves. And this is basically wrong, because what you want to do is make sure that the ball begins and then the camera follows it. Otherwise it feels as if the camera has some kind of premonition of the ball leaving the shot, and the motion feels weird. So what we want to do is keep the camera still until the ball starts to move. Now the ball starts to get underway about frame 25. So it actually starts moving earlier than that, but we need to give it some time to move before we follow it with the camera. So I'm going to go to frame 1, and then using my middle mouse key I'm going to drag that over to frame 25. Note that I've got the camera selected here. Release and press S. And what that should do is give me a camera move which remains static. And let's just go to translate Z there. Yeah. So the camera move remains static, and I still want that to be accelerating there until the ball starts to move. So let's now have a look at that motion there. So now the ball starts moving and then the camera starts to follow. And that's what we want. You want the ball to follow, not lead. In fact, we could even delay that motion a little bit longer. So let's move it over. Let's move it as far as frame 33. Something like that. Maybe it's actually now probably it's zooming into, whoops, hold on. Let's select that camera again. So it's actually zooming in too much. Sorry, it's my first time using 2019 and I need to fiddle with some of my settings. Okay, there we go. So let's just zoom out a little bit here at the end. And then we've got something like the ball starts to move and then the camera starts to follow. Now it's not perfect yet, but that is going to give us a much more attractive motion than if the camera leads rather than follows. And this principle applies for almost anything you do. If it's a person getting out of a chair, somebody leaving the room, the actor or the character needs to leave the motion, and then the character follows, the camera follows them. If the camera initiates the motion, then the camera has this strange psychic knowledge of what's about to happen, and it feels weird and artificial.